It was 105 degrees outside. The heat shimmered off the pavement like a desert mirage. But inside my house, it was a cool, calm 74. I leaned back with a glass of iced tea and stared out the window, watching roofing contractors sweat it out 3 houses down. They were ripping shingles off Mrs. Caldwell's home, the 3rd roof she'd had replaced in 2 months. Why? Because 3 months ago, the neighborhood HOA, led by none other than Judith McKinney, ordered the removal of the 2 giant oak trees in my front yard. Trees that had shaded not just my home, but half the block. Now, without that natural protection, the sun beat down like a punishment from the heavens. Those trees were over 30 years old, perfectly positioned to block the brutal southern sun. I didn't just love them, I respected them. I'm an urban environmental engineer, so I knew the exact value of that shade. My realtor even pitched them as a feature that would slash cooling bills. And she was right. My first electric bill was less than half of what my neighbors paid. Natural climate control. The trees worked better than any AC. But then Judith showed up. It was 2 weeks after I moved in. She pulled up in a spotless white BMW, stepped out in designer flats and linen slacks, and introduced herself with the practiced grace of someone used to being obeyed. "Welcome to Greenridge Estates," she said. "I'm Judith, HOA president." She eyed my rain barrel system like it was a pile of tires. I explained it was to reduce runoff and water the garden. Her smile tightened. "While we appreciate conservation," she said, "visible systems require prior approval. I'm sure you've read our guidelines." Oh, I had. All 63 pages of them. And I already knew how outdated their energy policies were. But I kept it polite. She glanced up at the trees. "They rather overwhelm your front yard, don't they?" "They're beautiful," I said. "They shade 4 homes and cut my energy use in half." She didn't reply. Just got back in her car and drove off. That was the warning shot. 3 months later, I got the violation notice. Excessive tree height, it claimed. Obstructs views. Potential safety hazard. Must comply within 30 days. I called the HOA management company. They told me a few neighbors had complained. When I asked which ones, they wouldn't say. So I hired a certified arborist. His report: the trees were healthy, stable, and posed no risk. I appealed the violation, included the report, even attached thermal images showing how the trees reduced surrounding surface temps by 15 to 20 degrees. The appeal was denied. Judith claimed the trees disrupted street aesthetics. No mention of safety. I knew then this wasn't about regulations. This was about her. Her second-floor sitting room faced west. My trees blocked her sunset view. That was her real motive. So I requested to speak at the next HOA meeting. I brought charts, photos, They'd even had a consultant back me up with energy projections. Judith listened, stone-faced. When I finished, she said, "Your trees, while mature, do not align with our community's vision." And just like that, the board voted 52. The trees had to go. Cutting them down was heartbreaking. I took cross-sections of the trunks, counted the ring's 30 years of growth gone in hours. Neighbors gathered, some in tears, some in silence. Even the tree crew looked upset. Judith, of course, drove by twice. Didn't stop. That week, the sun came down like vengeance. Surface temps soared. My electric bill doubled. But I was prepared. I installed window shades, an attic fan, rooftop sprinklers. Most of my neighbors weren't. By mid-June, their bills had spiked 50%. Shingles curled. ACs failed. Then came the heat dome. 7 straight days of record-breaking temperatures. Sorry. Judith's roof began to crumble. A contractor parked by my curb, examining the damage. "These western-facing shingles are cooked. Was there shade here before?" he asked. I just nodded toward the stumps. At the next HOA meeting, it all boiled over. Residents were furious. Roof damage, insurance denials, $600 power bills. I presented our data again, this time with community support. One board member finally spoke up. "We need a solution." And just like that, the tide turned. We formed a sustainability committee. I was voted chair. Judith tried to resist, but her grip had slipped. We rewrote the landscaping policies, launched a tree replanting plan, and hosted workshops on cooling strategies. We even rewrote the HOA charter to recognize mature trees as essential community infrastructure. No more removals without environmental review and resident input. 6 months later, Judith ran for re-election. She lost. Badly. The new president, my neighbor, Carol, who'd once called the trees an eyesore, now understood their value. Before moving out, Judith walked past my yard. "Those new saplings," she said, "they'll block the view again." In about 20 years, I smiled. But they'll be planted right. Shade without the drama. She nodded, almost respectfully, and walked away. Sometimes, justice doesn't come in a courtroom. It comes in electric bills, melted shingles, and a very expensive sunset. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever dealt with an HOA Karen? How do you think communities should balance rules with real life? I'd love to hear your thoughts.